Senator Ted Cruz is in the House from the great state of Texas. You all know him very well. He's got a new book out, One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. Senator Cruz, great to have you on. Thanks so much.
Buck, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right. We've got a huge Supreme Court vacancy to be filled atop a very contentious election. What is it that you see? I mean, you've obviously written this book about the one seat here and how it can make such a difference. What's some of the backstory, the history that people should know about why the elevation of ACB would be so momentous?
Well, the Supreme Court really is the arbiter and at the crossroads of all our constitutional liberties. The book that I have out that is coming out this week is just released, focuses on our constitutional rights. And each chapter in the book focuses on a different constitutional liberty. But before I was in the Senate, I was a Supreme Court litigator. So that's what I did for a living, is argue cases in front of the Supreme Court. And so there's one chapter on free speech. There's one chapter on religious liberty. There's one chapter on the Second Amendment. There's one chapter on U.S. sovereignty. There's one chapter on elections and democracy, and it goes into Bush versus Gore, which I was part of the legal team representing George W. Bush, and it was obviously a contested election, which we could see a reprise of it this year with this election. And what I do in the book is every chapter tells really the inside story, the backstory behind landmark cases at the court, behind the biggest cases at the court, many of which I helped litigate. And so it takes you behind to understand, okay, what are the issues the court has in front of them? Why does it matter to me? Who are the justices? It tells a lot of inside stories about the justices, about the litigants, and it's designed so that you don't have to be a lawyer to understand or appreciate the book. It's designed to help you understand how on free speech or religious liberty or all these issues that the landmark cases are almost all 5-4, that we have 4 justices ready to take away our fundamental liberties, and one vacancy can make an enormous difference, positive or negative.
Is Amy Coney Barrett the best possible choice to fill the open Supreme Court seat now, in your estimation?
I think she's a very strong choice. You look at her record, she has impeccable credentials. She graduated #1 in her class from Notre Dame Law School. She was a law clerk to Justice Antonin Scalia, the great Justice Scalia. She spent 20 years as a law professor at Notre Dame. She is now one of the most respected federal appellate judges in the country. And I think the president, in making this nomination, was following through on his promise to the American people to nominate constitutionalists and to nominate judges in the mold of Scalia or Thomas. And I think the Senate, we will confirm Judge Barrett, I believe, and we will do so before Election Day. I'm leading the fight in the Senate to make that happen. And I think when we do so, we will be delivering on our promise to confirm strong, principled constitutionalists who will defend the Bill of Rights.
We're speaking to Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. His new book comes out this week, One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. Senator Cruz, is there a mechanism, a procedural trick, anything that concerns you that your Democrat colleagues in the Senate may try to pull at this stage? Is there anything we need to be aware of? Because the shrill hysterics around the alleged illegitimacy of this nomination seem to show us that they'll just say things that are flatly untrue. So people are worried about whether they're willing to do things that are flatly unprincipled.
Yeah, look, I think that's right. I think even before this vacancy, the Democrats and the hard left, they were losing their minds. They hate President Trump with an all-consuming rage. And once this vacancy occurred, to quote the movie Spinal Tap, suddenly it went to 11. I mean, they are beside themselves. We will begin hearings on Judge Barrett on October 12th. And I fully expect Democrats to light their hair on fire, to do everything they can to turn it into a circus, likely every bit as disgracefully as they did with Justice Kavanaugh, where they went after him personally. They smeared him. They slimed his family. I think if they can, they will try to do the same thing to Judge Barrett. We saw some of this when she was nominated to the Court of Appeals, where they attacked her and demonized her because of her faith. She's a Catholic. And Senator Feinstein put it this way about Judge Barrett. She said, the dogma lives loudly in this one. And the position of a lot of Democrats seemed to be that if you're a person of faith, if you're Catholic, if you're evangelical, that you cannot serve as a judge and you can't serve in any public office. Now, of course, the Constitution prohibits a religious test for any public office, but today's Democrats have a real deep antipathy and animosity for people of faith. That being said, I think they will try every antic they can, including Pelosi is threatening possibly trying to impeach the president again. And if Democrats all stand together in the House, they could vote out articles of impeachment again. Even if they do that, it's not going to prevent this confirmation. If they engage in such a wildly partisan stunt, I'm confident we have the votes in the Senate to disregard their partisan antics and to deliver on our constitutional responsibility to confirm this justice.
How concerned are you, Senator, about the possibility of either a Biden administration, heaven forbid from my perspective, but it could happen, or whomever the next Democrat president may be, and there will be one at some point, we know that much, packing the court? This gets a lot of discussion now because Democrats are openly threatening to do that. Is that a realistic threat from your perspective?
Unfortunately, I think it is. Today's Democratic Party has really been radicalized, where there were a lot of positions that even a few years ago they would never have embraced. A few years ago, most Democrats said they weren't socialists. Now just about all of them agree with Bernie Sanders and AOC, and that's who's sending their agenda. Even a few months ago, most Democrats would have laughed at the prospect of abolishing or defunding the police. Now that is the mainstream position of today's Democratic Party. And when it comes to packing the court, so a Democratic president has tried that before. FDR tried that. And even though he had massive Democratic majorities in both houses of Congress, his own party resisted him. His own party said, no, we're not going to politicize the court. What's changed, unfortunately, is I don't think the Democrats would resist a Joe Biden. Certainly a Chuck Schumer or a Nancy Pelosi is not going to resist a Joe Biden. When it comes to packing the court, they've threatened to take the court from 9 justices to 11 to 13. Who knows how many they would put up there. And it underscores the stakes of this election, that it is critically important that President Trump be reelected. I'm fighting hard for him to be reelected. It's critically important that we maintain a Republican majority in the Senate and that we retake the House, because if, God forbid, we wake up in January and it is Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, I think they'll do more damage in 2 years than Barack Obama did in 8.
And would the filibuster also be one of those casualties in your opinion, based upon that scenario you just gave us?
I do believe it would. I think every Democrat would end the filibuster, which means if they have a narrow Senate majority, the filibuster, which is the most potent tool to stop to stop whoever has the Senate majority from just running over the minority, I believe the Democrats would eliminate the filibuster. And I don't think there's any dissension on their party. I think they would act early on to try to cement their majority. So one of the things I think they would do also is expand the United States and add 2 new states, add the District of Columbia and add Puerto Rico. And the reason they would do that is Democrats believe those 2 places would elect 4 new Democratic senators. So if we started January of 2021 with 50 Democrats and the vice president, we could end 2021 with 54 Democratic senators. And I think they will try to institutionalize their power, because right now the zealots, the extreme, is who's driving the Democratic Party.
One vote away, how a single Supreme Court seat can change history, is the book out this week from Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, always good to see you, sir. Thank you for dropping by and talking to us.
Buck, thank you for having us. Let me encourage folks to go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, go to onevoteaway.com. You can order the book right now. It'll help you understand what's happening at the court and how our fundamental liberties are all hanging by a single vote. And so please go buy the book. I think you'll enjoy it.